This pilot, though, who flew Barack Obama during his 2008 presidential campaign, says UFOs are real, and he's seen one firsthand. Here to share his almost unbelievable stories, pilot Andy Danzinger. Nice to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Now, we should be clear that this incident that you saw happened in 1989. Why did it take so long for you to talk about it?
There was no formal policy at my airline or any airline I've ever worked for that said not to talk about it, but it was kind of unwritten. We were young, we were new in our careers, and the way people tended to be ridiculed about all this, you just kind of kept quiet.
So this came out during a Daily News interview recently when you were asked about it.
That's correct.
Had you ever seen a UFO? And you responded that you had, and you went into detail about it. So what happened in 1989 on that day?
Unbelievable. We were flying from Kansas City to Waterloo, Iowa. I was just a first officer in a commuter airline turboprop. And crystal clear skies in Kansas City, crystal clear skies forecast in Waterloo. Supposed to be good weather en route. It's only a couple 250 miles away. We reached our cruise altitude of 15,000 feet, and all of a sudden we just noticed, you know, we're busy in the climb out. Those little, smaller airplanes didn't have autopilots. It leveled out, and a lot of thin, wispy clouds all around us. I noticed off to my right, and I was sitting in the right seat, was a white disc, just kind of thin, visible, barely visible behind the clouds, or dimly visible behind the clouds. And it was a little odd, but you know, we were used to seeing a lot of things in the sky, so when you see something strange, you start looking around trying to figure out what it is. And the first thing you think about is the moon, because it looked like it could have been the moon dimly visible, but the moon was out over here, and it was a crescent. It wasn't a full moon. So it couldn't have been a reflection of the moon.
So this large disk, you described it as being pretty large.
Oh, yeah.
Massive. And then after a while, it was following you.
Or we were following it. It was pacing us.
It was pacing you. Then something unbelievable happened to its shape and its color. It turned into a giant orange ball glowing in the sky?
Yeah. After we'd been looking down for searchlights and stuff from the ground, maybe something shining up on the cloud, couldn't find anything. After about 40 minutes, we started our descent into Waterloo. And as we started our descent and looked up, here's this giant red ball just above the clouds.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it was.
And there were people, of course, who witnessed this on your plane as well, not just you.
No, the captain that was on the plane did. I don't know about any of the passengers.
Like air traffic control, I've talked to a lot of pilots here off the air in commercial breaks, and I've asked them this question. We've talked about it, and they've all admitted that they've seen UFOs, but they kind of keep quiet about it. Why is it that they keep quiet about it? Is it fear of losing their job?
I don't know. It's you don't want to be brandished as being crazy. That was one of our concerns before we actually reported it to air traffic control. We discussed it amongst each other. Is this something that's going to jeopardize our career? The government discounts every single report that ever seems to come out. The news media tends to, or at least in the past, has tended to ridicule every UFO report. So, you know, that was all going on really big back in the 1980s.
Since you came forward, what have you heard from people? What have you heard from other pilots who have said thank you for speaking about this?
A little bit. I've got a few friends who've called me and said, wow, maybe this is going to finally get the stuff out. I've seen stuff, and it's about time that somebody came forward and you're actually getting some press, and maybe people will start believing this a little bit more.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. Andy Danzinger is the pilot who flew Barack Obama on his 2008 campaign, witnessed that UFO in 1989. And Ronald Reagan admits to have seen UFOs while he was flying in the airplane. A couple of times, actually. Great to see you this morning.
But what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, you know, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.